Hey everyone, my name is Nick Gallagher. I've been playing TAMA at the professional level for the past decade and I've won 6 world titles. Today I'm going to show you how I would do every single trick in the 2025 Battle at the Border Advanced Tricklist if I were competing in this division myself. Trick number 1, one turn lighthouse, lighthouse flip, trade spike. This one is pretty self-explanatory. First, you're going to want to, of course, have a straight pull-up for the one-turn lighthouse. This is going to help you have the best chance at hitting a perfect lighthouse flip and also getting a great trade spike. I say this in almost every video now, but really slow down the trick with your knees. Emphasize the movement of your knees. Come all the way down, come all the way up, and you'll be able to see the flip just a little bit slower than normal. Once you get really good at lighthouse flip, once you get very, very consistent, the trick is pretty much taken care of already. But again, for trade spikes, I always like to have all of my fingers making contact with the TAMA. Usually when I do trade spikes, normally just playing around, just sessioning with my friends or something like that, very low stakes situation, I will not have my pinky on the TAMA, not making contact with it, but just something small I like to do when I really want to get a trade spike for a competition. I make sure all 5 of my fingers are on the TAMA. Once you've got all 5 fingers touching the TAMA, pull straight toward yourself. The TAMA will fall perfectly towards the spike and you'll be good on this one almost every single try. Trick number 2, KENFLIP spike. This trick can be done in 2 different ways, all at the same time or separate. And what I mean by that is doing all the motions at once or one by one. So this is all of them at the same time. This is how I personally do a KENFLIP spike. I pull up the ball with the KENFLIP, the power of the KENFLIP itself, and that's enough for me to get the ball up here and be able to spike it. If you do it like this, really make sure to focus on putting a lot of power into your thumb. And instead of bringing the KENFLIP super far up with the KENFLIP itself, you can just make sure to push down. And that will do a great job of getting the TAMA to a good height where you can actually spike it. The other way to do this trick is separate. What I mean by that is in a 2-step motion. You'll first pull up the ball and then do a late KENFLIP to get under it and spike. So it'll look something like this. 1, 2. Do that one more time. 1, 2. And then here's both of them side by side so you can see the comparison. It's very subtle, but it's different. At the same time, and then here's separate. 1, 2. A lot of people will prefer the second way where you do it in 2 separate motions. This tends to be a lot easier for people learning nowadays, but pick which one you're most comfortable with personally and use that for the competition. Trick number 3, inward lunar, lighthouse, small cup lunar, in. This trick is super simple. I'm expecting it to be hit 3 for 3 matched a lot of times at the actual competition, but because it is an easy trick on the list, it makes it very, very important to not miss this one. So all I can really say to up your success rate is to really emphasize your knees. Once you get it to inward lunar, make sure to take that little bit of extra time, get yourself set up, use your knees, come down, come up to the lighthouse. Same thing one more time when you drop down to the lunar. And then same thing for the spike. Like I said, this one is super simple, pretty self-explanatory. Just use your knees and you definitely will not be missing this one on stage. Trick number 4, stilt in. For stilt, you're going to pull up the same exact way you would pull up for a regular lunar. You're going to give it a little twist with your hand when you pull up. Make sure to twist the Ken ever so slightly towards the big cup. Make sure to twist the Ken ever so slightly so the big cup is the one that comes up on the TAMA hole. And after you get good at this, it's pretty much from there, just practice. But a couple things you can do to upgrade your success rate of this trick is 1, making sure you're holding the TAMA correctly. And my favorite way to hold the TAMA for stilts is one where my thumb is below the halfway mark on the TAMA, below the halfway line. Usually if you have tracking, it's right here. It sits below that. I have my index middle on the backside of the TAMA here, and then my ring finger underneath right by the string hole for support. You'll notice that the C shape in my hand is a little diagonal. It's facing towards my face. Usually when we do lighthouse or airplane, it's going to be facing straight up. But this is just something I like to do for stilts. I like to get it like so, offset it ever so slightly, make it diagonal. And this way, the stilt will never, ever touch your thumb. You will never hand this trick. The last thing I would do, besides just normal practice and getting the hang of it here, putting in the reps, is applying moisture to your bevel. People do this in different ways. Some people apply water by hand, maybe spray from a bottle, or even use their tongue to lick the bevel during the competition or just during practice. Whatever you do, make sure when you're practicing to apply moisture to the TAMA hole, and it will definitely help you. Trick number 5, spacewalk in. For this trick, you want to do two things. Use a string length that is very, very short, but I recommend between 5 to 7 fingers. Something that is a little shorter because kendamas with a long string are very, very difficult to do spacewalks on. And two, I would like you to get over a nice comfortable setting, meaning no hard ground. You want to go over grass or either inside over your carpet. You're likely going to be dropping this a lot while you hone this one in to top consistency. So for example, this would probably not be the best setting. After you've got your perfect string length and your perfect environment to practice spacewalk in, here's how I would go about doing it. Hold the Ken like this, 4 fingers on the backside, thumb in between the handle stall and the ring, and we're going to point the Ken downwards. So the spike is going to be facing down. We're going to want to keep tension in this string the entire way through the trick. So we're going to start with the TAMA facing outwards like so. No slack at all. We're going to keep it tight. Next, we're going to initiate the spacewalk. Push the TAMA down like this. Use this momentum to carry through and spike it. So this trick for a lot of you is probably something you almost never do. So a lot of this is just going to come through trial and error, through experience, through practice. But one trick I want to tell you about this trick is actually to not catch it underhand. A lot of people try to catch the ball incorrectly like so. People tend to catch the ball like this, underhand. It's not necessarily impossible to do a spacewalk in with this grip, but if you get in the habit of catching like this will not transfer to other skills or abilities that you might be practicing currently in kendama right now. So what I would recommend is catching it overhand like so. You want to end the grip with it being very, very similar to an airplane in order to make the spacewalk actually feel like a normal airplane too. So we're going to catch it overhand like so. We're going to curl our hand around, catch it like this, and then bring it up for a nice, easy airplane. Again, make sure there's tension in the string at the entire way through the trick. If there's any slack, then you're not going to get a clean twist, a clean landing on the Ken. It's not going to come around the way you want it to. So keep that string tight, catch it overhand, and just practice. And you'll definitely be taking points on people with this trick. Trick number 6, stunt plane fast hands, earth turn. This one, guys, is really all in your knees. The main point is to really catch it at its highest point here and then fast hand, but you're only gonna be able to do this consistently if you constantly use your knees. So come down, bend your knees just a little bit, pull up, really be patient. You don't have to drop it in or throw it in. You don't have to slam dunk it on the spike. This can really just be a nice little placement onto the spike. So make sure to wait, be very gentle with it. Nothing crazy. And then once you get into the position for earth turn, hold it the way you like. I personally like to do this for competitions. I like to not hold it in normal Ken grip. I like to get some of my fingers up by the cups. So I see a lot of people going like this to do earth turns to really make it feel like you have more control. I personally always just put my thumb in the cup that's facing me. Very small detail, but it might help some of you. Trick number 7, handle stall in. There are a lot of different ways to do this trick. I will go through every single one and you guys can pick which one is the most comfortable for you. First, the standard way is to hold it normally in Ken grip, have the cups facing towards you, and stall it right here. Keeping the Ken flat, not changing the direction of it or anything, just pulling it up and stalling it right on the edge of the handle stall. The second way to do this trick is to pull it straight up. Of course, again, you want to land it on the handle stall, but you're going to change the angle of the Ken. So instead of having it flat like this, you're actually going to stall it like this. Notice how the cups are now facing up. Personally, this is how I do a lot of my handle stalls nowadays, so I would probably go with this method. And then of course, when it comes to the spike, you can either choose to drop it in straight, or you can either choose to earth turn like this. I usually go with an earth turn, from handle stall especially. I think it's a lot safer. I think it's a lot more comfortable for my play. Try these different techniques out, see which ones work best for you. And after that, this just comes with a lot of practice. It's very similar to bird, and just like with any stall trick, applying moisture to the TAMA is going to help you land it a lot easier. Trick number 8, airplane jumping stick, inward jumping stick. Airplane jumping stick part is pretty self-explanatory. The hardest part about this trick is, of course, the inward jumping stick. You can do it 2 ways. One, you can cock the Ken towards your body, like so. Get into position like this, cock the Ken back, the base cup facing towards your body, and flinging it in front of you, making the Ken do an inward spin. Of course, use your knees with this trick. It's going to help a lot. Or, instead of cocking it back towards your body, you can actually let it go slightly in front of you. You can tilt the Ken down slightly away from you, and then just pull out from underneath right here, generating an inward flip like this. From here, it usually comes down to preference. I personally like to do it where I pull out from underneath and do it like this. But in the past, I used to go like this way too. So either way works. Just find what's most comfortable for you and commit to it. Trick number 9, candlestick trade spike. There are 2 ways to do this trick. One is doing the swap and going for the spike at the same exact time. And so this is what that looks like. You're swapping, adjusting, and going for the spike all in one motion, compared to the other way, number 2, which is doing it one by one. Toss the TAMA up, swap in midair, and spike it. Personally, in competition, I've usually always done it all in one go, like this. I found that it works best for me. But for a lot of people, like Zach, for example, he does it in 2 separate motions, like this. And once you do it in 2 separate motions, I found that the best way for me has been popping it up, flipping the Ken halfway inward, doing a half flip inward towards yourself, catching the Ken and spiking it. So it actually would be the opposite direction of this. You'd instead be pulling towards you. So all in one go is push, 2 separate motions is pull. Trick number 10, KENGRIP underbird, swap TAMA grip in. When I go for KENGRIP underbird, I still hold it just like a normal KENGRIP, but when I swing and pull it up, I move my thumb back. So you'll notice that in order to not touch the TAMA while I hold it like this, I swing up and when it's coming up, I pull back with my thumb. So it's down here by the time it's sitting on the underbird. So we're gonna do it right now. One more time. And so now you're holding the underbird like this, and you're going to go for the swap TAMA grip in. The most effective thing you can do for this last swap TAMA grip in is to really, really use your knees. Come all the way down, come up. And if you do the swap correctly, if you're using your knees, then the TAMA is already going to be facing straight up, making for an easy airplane. So one, be careful of not handing the trick with your thumb. Always adjust it out to this area right here between the handle stall and the ring. And then once you're on the underbird, really emphasize the use of your knees right here to go for a nice clean swap TAMA grip in.